For sticking with us here at 7:30. We start this half hour with the start of the Democratic National Convention. Sort of wild to think, just a month ago, this was going to be Joe Biden's week to really launch his bid for a second term. Instead, the president bowed out, and as a result, he gets a night tonight to address the convention. Since his departure from the race and Vice President Kamala Harris's ascension to the top of the ticket, the race for the White House has tightened nationally and right here in North Carolina. In fact, a new poll of likely voters out today by Focal Data shows Harris with a 1-point lead over Donald Trump in our state, 47 to 46%. It backs up a poll from the weekend. A New York Times Siena College poll shows Harris with a 2-point lead here, 46 to 44%. Both polls obviously within the margin of error. And the closeness really shouldn't come as a surprise. In fact, look at the results from the last 4 presidential elections here in North Carolina. In 2020, Trump won by 1.34%. In 2016, he won by 3.66%. In 2012, it was Mitt Romney winning by 2.04%. And in 2008, it was Obama by 0.32%. A lot of the battleground states look like this, and it's why this week is so important. It's why former President Trump will be visiting many of those states, including North Carolina this week. And it's why Vice President Harris really wants a good week in Chicago. She'll need to plead her case on several issues. One thing the polls also show is the economy is the top issue for voters. In a recent CBS News poll, 83% say it'll be a major factor in their vote for president. Inflation next in line there at 76%. Then you see the rest of the issues. Now, the vice president was in Raleigh on Friday laying out her economic agenda, and part of it has to do with housing. Right now, there is a 3 million housing unit shortfall in the country. It's 150,000 in North Carolina alone. Harris's plan would create tax incentives for builders to build affordable apartments and starter homes. She also wants to provide tax credits and down payment assistance to first-time home buyers. Jim Parrott was a senior economic advisor at the National Economic Council under President Obama, and he spoke to our Dedrick Russell.
It's going to be up to her team in Congress to figure out how to pay for this, but it's going to be important to pay for it, because if you don't pay for it and you crank up the deficit much more, that'll flow through to interest rates over time and will make housing still more affordable. So it's going to be important, as with all these proposals, that we find a way to pay for them. So at the end of the day, it doesn't exacerbate some of the economic drivers that are creating the affordability problem to begin with.
So what do you say to the critics if, people just say that, well, I didn't need this, just like with the loan forgiveness, I paid my loans and I worked 2 and 3 jobs to pay my loans. What would you say to those people who said that I didn't have that and I still got my home and I was able to do it instead of giving, a handout all the time?
Fair enough. But remember, the centerpiece of this is the supply shortfall. So what I would say is if at some point, if you're a homeowner, you were a renter that went out and bought your first home, the point right now is there aren't those homes out there to buy. So unless you do something to increase the inventory of homes to buy, then the folks that are renters out there right now aspiring to be homeowners aren't going to be able to make the leap that you as a homeowner were able to make way back when. So we need some sort of policy intervention.
All right, joining us now live from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago is WBTV senior national correspondent Peter Zampa. Peter, appreciate the time. Tell us more about what's on tap for this first night of prime time.
Well, Jamie, things are well kicked off here inside the United Center. We've been having speakers up here for the better part of an hour now. They just voted on the party's platform, confirmed it seemingly unanimously. So things really heating up on this night one that has been called For the People. That is the theme. They're hoping these speakers tonight can really lay out a contrast, showing Donald Trump as someone who puts himself, his candidacy, above the American people. And the inverse is true, they say, for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. They plan to share that message through an array of different speakers across the ideological spectrum. We're talking about Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the progressive from New York, speaking right before Hillary Clinton, more moderate, speaking before Governor Andy Beshear from bright red Kentucky. So all of these different ideas capped off at the end of the night by President Joe Biden's much anticipated speech.
Yeah, he is the headliner here tonight. What do we expect from him tonight?
Well, look, Jamie, let's take a step back for a second. Think back just a month ago. He thought this was his convention. He thought he was speaking on Thursday night, not Monday night. These delegates voted for him. They were his, and now they're not. This is a difficult moment for a president who did want another 4 years, but says to save democracy, he knew it was best to step aside and pass the torch. And I think you're going to hear a lot about that tonight. You're going to hear about the need to continue to save democracy, to get Kamala Harris in the White House. He'll also probably take a bit of a victory lap, talk about his perceived accomplishments over the last 4 years. But that has a double benefit for these Democrats, because Kamala Harris was right by his side for those 4 years. And then at the end of the night, the official passing of the torch, and then he's off to California for vacation, letting Kamala Harris enjoy the next 3 days that are hers.
A different kind of noise just outside the arena, right? We've had protesters descending on Chicago. What can you tell us about those today?
Well, look, we knew we would see protesters this week because of what is going on in the Middle East. We've been seeing it for months. Folks not happy with how this administration has handled the war in Gaza and supplying support to Israel consistently. Now, we had organizers tell our team who was on the ground out there they expected tens of thousands of people. Well, we can confirm from our team that that did not come to fruition totally. But throughout the day, things did pick up and tension picked up as well, with some clashes between these protesters and police, even a breaching of a barricade really quite nearby the United Center. But we understand things have calmed down. There were a few arrests, 4 confirmed by Chicago PD, and our team saw a couple more carried out in handcuffs. So certainly ratcheted up the temperature, and this is only night 1 of the DNC.
A big week ahead. You'll be watching it for us. Our Peter Zampa is live tonight in Chicago, the site of the Democratic National Convention. Peter, appreciate the time as always. Thank you.